Hi, I'm Sam Norberg. Welcome to 52 Books in 52 Weeks, and we're up to book 9, where I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I've skimmed through this one before a couple of years ago, and it's been on my rereading list again since then because I know at the time I A, skipped over it a bit, and B, didn't really understand what was going on. So when I brought past this one at my local library, I picked it up. The upside about this one is it's a really small copy. I don't know if you can see. It actually fits perfectly inside my handbag. The upside of that was because it was a physical book and not an audio book, I carried it with me still and I could use it whenever I was waiting for something or whenever I had a couple of free minutes to skip through. So that was one of the big bonuses about this one this time, is it was really small. The other thing that I loved about this is something that, I thought I knew, but I really didn't. It was about how I'm treating my money. Money, money, money. It's one of those subjects that has issues for all of us. I think money brings up all sorts of connotations. It depends on what you were taught by your family as to how you treat it. It depends on how you respect yourself as to how you treat it. The thing with money is we can make it mean a million and one things, and most of them aren't good. We bring up all these concepts like greed, desire, about the rich doing bad things, and I think it's time that we stop doing that, first of all, but that if you haven't, you go and read this. It's about using money wisely, about using money smartly. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad is written based on the fact that Robert Kiyosaki has what he calls two dads, a rich dad and a poor dad. Now it's actually his dad and then a friend's dad. And what he shows you is how the difference between how his rich dad treated money and how his poor dad treated money wasn't necessarily that the rich dad earned more, because to begin with he didn't. He actually had a lot less physical cash flow, a lot less money. But it was what he did with that money and how he used it that made a difference. Something that I implemented a couple of months ago and that the book also encourages to do is to pay yourself first. So something I started doing is no matter what I had to pay, how many bills I had coming up, or what was going on, it was the moment money came into my account, I paid me first before I paid anyone else. Some call it a PIF account, some call it a 10% account. It doesn't matter what it is, but you need to pay yourself first. Something else the book looked really strongly at was in purchasing assets. Now, this is something that is quite a big deal, especially here in Australia, where, of course, the dream of all Australians is to buy a bit of land and a house. What this book does is it shows you how that's not always the best asset you've got, and although real estate is a good option, you have to consider why you're doing it. Look, I'm normally one to skip away from difficult financials, and this wasn't that. This went through really clearly explaining in simple diagrams. And when I say simple diagrams, I mean diagrams often involving 4 squares and an arrow. That's the kind of diagram I can deal with. Simple diagrams to explain the concepts of assets and liabilities, of cash flow and expenses. So I think it's a really good way to look at it. The other thing it did is it really reminded me that, although I'm still young, now's the time to make a difference. If I want to do something smart with my money, it's now. And although it's definitely never too late to get started, I've got more of an opportunity now while I'm younger than I would have had, say, when I was older. So if you haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad yet, it's worth a read. If you have read it, I encourage you to consider whether you really implemented the things that were inside it. I know the last time I skimmed through it, I didn't, and I know that's why I wanted to go back to it again, because there were things in here that I definitely didn't do. And I can't keep complaining about money or finance or any of those things if I didn't change anything, because I chose not to implement what I'd learned. So my challenge for you then is, if you have read it, implement it. If you haven't read it, go find it. Most local libraries now will have a copy. You don't even have to buy it. If money is a problem, go and get this book. It's worth reading. So that's it for this week. Let me know down below what you think if you've read it, and if you haven't, it's worth going and having a read. And as always, I will see you next time.